Hello again, and welcome to MLR Weekly, as presented by Rugby Wrap-Up. Matt McCarthy in New York City, thanks for joining us. We have a great show. We have the Commissioner of Major League Rugby, Nic Benson. We have Ryan Fitzgerald of the NOLA Gold, and we have John Fitzpatrick of Rugby Morning. Rugby Wrap-Up's MLR Weekly brought to you by Sheehy Auto Stores. It's easy at Sheehy. The Pig and Whistle, New York City, the world's best rugby pub. And Lean and Limber, stretching your way to a healthier lifestyle. Let's get this party started with our recurring segment, Rugby Morning's Coffee Break with John Fitzpatrick from the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., District of Columbians. John, welcome back to MLR Weekly. What do you have for us this week, and how are you?
Hey, Matt, I'm doing great. How are you? Hey, did you catch Lona Mar dancing on Monday night?
Oh, great. Fabulous. Fab, absolutely fabulous. She's killing it, and she should make every single dime she can off of every single avenue that she can. Jealous. I want to be on Dancing with the Stars. But anyway, maybe if we get a successful show going, maybe we can be on Dancing with the Stars, John. So what caught your fancy? What do you got for us? What news? Hurry up.
Well, Matt, I think MLR realized you're back from your vacation because, man, there's been a little bit of flurry of news here. Let's start with some player moves. How about Toby Fricker, recently capped USA Men's Eagle? He is signed as an injury recover for the Bristol Bears. He last played for them 2021-2022 season. He'll be back in MLR. No worry there, folks.
What else, John?
Hey, how about Rodney Iona out from NOLA Gold after 2 seasons? I hear you're talking with your boy Fitzy later in the episode. You got to ask him about that.
Yeah, he's in the green room, Ryan Fitzgerald. We don't call him my boy Fitzy. Let's show some respect for a general manager, the only general manager for the team that's been in the league the entirety of this league's formation. Thank you very much. A little respect for Ryan Fitzgerald. But we'll chat about that and more. And also, I've got that dispersal draft that I shared with you, the Dallas dispersal draft, and we'll get to that in a moment. But what else you got, John?
Well, Matt, I think that move in NOLA was made because they've got a USA-eligible fly half down there, Reese Botha, who may be taking over the helm full-time. But, again, talk to your boy Fitzy about that. Hey, moving on. How about Old Glory DC? They signed former Scarlet and Dragon center, former Welsh U20 center, Steph Hughes. That's a pretty big deal, man. He's only 30. He's got a lot of game left in him. Big signing there for Old Glory DC.
Yeah, 30-year-old Welshman. The rugby IQ has to be through the roof. He's no stranger to bad weather, that's for sure. So he'll be a good addition for that squad on and off the pitch. Next.
Matt, how about your boy Dave Carney? He announced his retirement from pro rugby. What do you have to say about that?
A stellar career. Irish international. Came over here to finish his career in Chicago. Helped the Hounds. Again, one of those guys on and off the pitch in his later years. His brother Rob, certainly. I think he's also involved in the club, but not in a playing capacity. I think they have some kind of piece of ownership, both of them. Rob, of course, the more well-known Carney brother, but Dave was no joke. He was no slouch. He was an excellent player as well. Good for him. He's going out on his own terms. You got to like that for a rugby athlete. Next.
Hey, let's jump on over to some coaching moves. Former LA Guiltini back rower, you may remember him, Dave Dennis, won an MLR Championship in 2021. He's coming back to LA, this time in a full-time coaching role. He's going to be a senior assistant coach under new RFC LA Director of Rugby, Stephen Hoyles. You remember those two from pairing up for the Wallabies. Matt, what do you make of this move here?
Senior assistant coach. So what does that mean exactly? I mean, he's an assistant coach, right? So senior assistant coach?
He's not a junior.
All right. I hope it's a bump in pay for him to be called a senior assistant coach. But yeah, another great addition. MLR bringing back players that have had overseas international exposure and experience, playing professionally overseas and coming back now in coaching capacities. I think that's great. I think it's great. He's already had a taste of what it's like over here, so he knows what he's getting into. He's not a coach coming in blind. That is a key component to that. Next.
Matt, I just want to know, you've got Australians taking over San Diego, LA in coaching roles in MLR. It's like an Australian invasion. What is the deal with that?
Least expected, mate. Least expected. That was my Eddie Jones assassination of an imitation. What else, John? You want to talk Dispersal Draft?
Yeah, you seem to have got some news here. It's been some slow leaks here and there. We're hearing some players going there, some going other places. We're hearing, the draft was not exempt from the salary cap. So, Matt, spill the beans. What do you got, man?
Well, I've got what looks to be the draft, but, I'll verify its authenticity with Ryan Fitzgerald, the general manager. And, of course, later on in the program, we have Nic Benson, the commissioner of Major League Rugby. From what I gather and from what you gather, this is not a draft that is exempt from salary cap limitations, nor does it bind the player to go to where they've been, but to the team that they've been drafted to, nor does it necessarily the team is going to retain the player, that they might trade the player for future considerations and or salary cap relief, right?
That's correct.
So what is your takeaway from this draft? Anything stick out for you?
I mean, there are two, maybe three players that really stick out here. And I know we talked about the one a couple episodes ago, rumors about where he was going. But I'm looking at this, and I see Sam Gala, and I see Anthem RC next to him. I thought a couple weeks ago we talked about how he was going to San Diego. So, Matt, which coast is he going to?
I don't know. My intel had him headed to San Diego. That doesn't mean that he couldn't be drafted by Anthem Carolina if his contract wasn't already signed with San Diego, so maybe that's out the window. We'll find out. But I'm looking at the 12th selection, the New England Free Jacks taking Geronimo Gomez-Vara, who I said to you in the Fantasy Ruckers right before last season, he is going to be the stud in the back row for the league. And what did he do? He went out and made me look smart, or smarter, because I'm already smart. But the Geronimo, if he's going to New England with their already unbelievable back row, that is going to be one heck of a back row for New England, for the reigning champions.
Yeah, Matt, two things about that. One, let's remind the viewers, you finished in last place in the Fantasy Ruckers. I won the championship.
Only because Dave Hollinshead was hurt and everybody in Los Angeles was hurt. They had one of the local bus drivers playing fly half and scrum half while these guys were all hurt. I stick by Dan Hollinshead, whatever his name, Dan Hollinshead. Hollinsworth. Head. Next.
Two, if Gomez-Vara is signing with New England, talk about a coup for them. They've already got the best back row in MLR. If Conradi can come back from his injury,
he will.
That is going to be tough for Eastern Conference opponents. But again, we don't know if he's going to sign there, right? Because as we talked about earlier, just because a player was selected by that team doesn't mean that's where that player is going. So we'll see.
Interesting. And I like the Old Glory selection in the 17th spot, J.P. Zeiss, Juan Pablo Zeiss. If they indeed take him, he's a nice front row addition. So again, we don't have any real evidence that indicates this is what's going on, and it's a loosely based draft list that we have here. So we'll try to figure out the rest of it. But what else, John?
Yeah, Matt, last bit of news here. I don't know if you caught this, but did you catch the name of the rugby player who got possessed by an owl?
No, I did not, John. What is the name of the rugby player that got possessed by an owl?
Matt, that's all I got. You didn't take the bait. Darn it.
Who? On that note, I want to thank John Fitzpatrick of Rugby Morning's Coffee Break. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. We have Ryan Fitzgerald, the general manager of the NOLA Gold, coming up after this.
Digs like a demented mole there.
Need a great price on a new vehicle? Sheehy makes it easy. Easy Price shows you our lowest prices on the Mid-Atlantic's largest selection. Find your best price online or at any of our 31 dealerships.
It's easy at Sheehy. Sheehy.com.
You need your cleats? You need them tomorrow? If you order today by 3 p.m. New York time or noon LA time, they can have them to you tomorrow. Young, old, male, female, if you're playing on turf, if you're playing on grass, if you're playing in the rain, you're playing in the heat, they've got you covered. RugbyNow.com. Go there now. And we are back with Mr. Ryan Fitzgerald of the NOLA Gold. And Ryan, welcome back to MLR Weekly. I apologize if I call you John Fitzpatrick or some kind of Fitzpatrick, because he's just not. So I called him Fitzgerald like 15 times, and I had to do it over again. But I'm not going to do it over if I call it to you. Just going to go with it organically. How are you?
You got it, Matt. No problem. Thanks for having me. I've been called worse before, so that's fine. You know what I mean? Fitzgerald, Fitzpatrick, either one. All good. Been well, man. How about yourself?
I'm good. I was good until I saw the whiteboard behind you where it says, "Don't go on MLR Weekly." That's did you not see the whiteboard this morning after the staff meeting? Forgot about it now. Damn, my bad. All right. Okay. All right. Well, since we're on, we might as well continue as though it's all, copacetic, as my grandfather would say. So you're busy off season so far. I know you got stuff going on with the college draft and the pathway, but let's start at the top with a new head coach, somebody that's familiar for MLR fans, Danny Lee out of San Diego.
Guys, he's been outstanding. Obviously, I think his record at San Diego, obviously, I think 36-14, that year before 15-1, player 2 away from winning it, 1 point away from winning against New England. Just a great guy, great coach. Obviously, all the players that he had at San Diego, we, obviously chatted with some of them, or they reached out. A lot of players, former players, even reaching out, saying, how well he, how much they learned from him, how much, great of a coach he is, personal. Obviously, a 2-time capped All Black, and even has a connection with our former coach, with Corey Brown. As played, came up that same timeline with the All Blacks and everything that as Corey's brother Tony Brown. So similar styles. New Zealand playing fast, playing wide, a lot of offloads. Real attention to the detail and the skills, very good evaluator. And he dug right in when he signed, and he's been here in New Orleans. Him and his wife Haley been here and already digging into it. Comes out to the U16 practices, comes out to the men's club practices. So he's getting his hands dirty already, getting stuck in. We just had a little training session with some of the guys that were just around here doing some skills out there and in the gym. So we're excited for it. That's excellent.
Excellent. So I have the Dispersal Draft from the Dallas franchise when unfortunately went under, and I'm just looking at it and I'm like, how much is a player bound by the Dispersal Draft? Do you have a period of time where you can talk to them?
There's no secret that we've had a couple dispersal drafts already in MLR, and I think it's probably one of the best setup you could do it in a draft format, and then obviously you have options, and players can chat elsewhere. So especially you feel for the players. Obviously, you never want to see teams leaving, and I know Dallas had come in off a great year. There's a great staff and great players there. So hopefully everybody can, as many players as possible, can land on some rosters.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to John Fitzpatrick earlier, and we were talking about you've been with this team since its inception. So you're one of those rare cats that's been in the league since day one. So for you, for that perspective, how far have we come, and what's the big difference going into this season for you?
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty remarkable when you think about it. I was talking at one of our events the other night to fans and season ticket holders, and where we started at Archbishop Shaw High School, and having the old boys line in the fields, and wives and girlfriends running the merch store and a concession stand, and that's awesome because that's where you came from. That's the roots, and that's what it took to get here, and that's what's really cool about having that men's club that we stem from, and now here at the gold mine in this facility in this place, and having training center, a gym, the medical staff that TISM with Tulane, what they do is just been remarkable. So it's been awesome to see how it's gone from there to here. And obviously the players that have come through, obviously first couple of years, there's a lot more local players, which is great. We always want to continue to build the local players, but it's also good to see how many world-class players are raising their hand, willing and wanting to come, and not just come here and play 6 months, but come here and stay in the league for a while.
It's destination city.
Yeah. Yes. And have their families here.
And you've got the influx of a new ownership group, so you've got some more resources.
Absolutely. They came on board, and definitely always good to have them. And they've been great, as far as coming on board. And obviously, like you said, having more resources. As the league continues to grow, we have to, we grow with it.
So Ryan, we're running out of time, but before we end, you just said resources and growing. I wanted to address the college situation, the college draft for you guys and your picks, and also pathway.
Yes. Yeah. I'm really excited for our guys. Both two Penn State guys with Aiden King and Dalton Musselman. Aiden King, I actually found him, been tracking him for over 2 years now. I think 2 years ago in 2022, we went to D.C. and the curtain raiser before that was the Navy versus Penn State, and he was just a dog. I mean, 17 tackles. I think he had a try. I know he had a try. I think he had two, possibly two. A couple over the ball steals. Just a relentless work rate, smart kid, engineering degree. Dalton Musselman has been fantastic. I think it's always good to continue to develop American playmakers, especially in that fly half position.
Yeah,
right? We're really blessed right now and having one here with Reese Bolta, who is obviously USA domestic and Eagle eligible.
Because Rodney Iona is no longer with the Gold.
Right, Rodney is, yes, yeah, and we obviously have Reese Bolta and Dorian back for right now. But always, like I said, always looking to continue to develop. Especially American players at that position specifically. It's kind of like, it's quarterback of the NFL. The more that you can have on your roster and continue to develop on them, everything, the better you can hit on somebody. So, and then, Dalton had a fantastic career at Penn State, and he had a really good tournament out there at Rugby Town 7. So, excited.
And what about the pathway?
Yeah.
Or a kid in New Orleans that wants to play for the Gold?
Right, and that's what we're really, really going to help with our new resources and our new ownership as well coming in, is being able to really go all in on that. We've already touched on it, we've already done it for years, but I think we can really accelerate it to the next level. And right now, a lot of these guys coming in. What's awesome about having our men's club right here in town, New Orleans Rugby Club, the seasons go at the same time. So right as NOLA Gold is going, so is our men's club. So if our guys, those guys that are rookies, maybe they don't make the 23-man roster on Saturday, playing against New England Free Jacks or something, they still getting game time. So that's a great way. And then obviously through our high school program, I mean, William Wagon's back this year. He was a local kid that just got called in the Eagle Pool, almost capped, and he's right here from Jesuit. We have another Jesuit kid that was just out there running around doing some training with us today, doing skills and stuff. So our high school programs are going to be expanding and building and leading right into, if you go off to college, obviously they go off to college, but we'll be able to still track them and retain them as a homegrown player. And if they don't, and they stay right here and go to school, that's great, and join right into our academy system.
Ryan, I heard about some Major League Rugby survey, and it made you guys look pretty good.
Yeah, I was pretty excited about that. That's always good to know. It's always good to get that feedback from the players. There was, MLR player survey at the end of the year, just for the whole organization, every player for his organization. And NOLA Gold was above average in every single category. And then the top two that I was most proud of is that team environment, team culture, we were first, and the player welfare, we were first.
Wow.
So,
well, kudos for that. But about that whiteboard behind you.
Yeah, sorry about that.
We
I swear I had it on my to-do list to take that down, but I just forgot it.
Somebody erased that. That was on the other side.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Mr. Ryan Fitzgerald of the NOLA Gold. Thank you, sir. We'll be right back.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot.
I wouldn't like to be at the bottom of that.
If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street.
Hey, U.S. fans, you can tune into every match live on Flow Rugby. How do we know that? Because we're on there all the time. This is the Rugby Odds, where an unlikely pundit panel of a wordsmith, a WWE legend, a rugby star, and a supermodel scour the globe, seeking best bets and bad behavior. Are you not entertained? And we are back, and we have the pleasure of welcoming back Major League Rugby Commissioner, Mr. Nic Benson. Nick, welcome back. How are you?
Thanks for having me, Matt. Good to be back on. I'm doing well.
So I know you're pressed for time, so let's get to some business questions first. Unfortunately, we lost the Dallas franchise. Briefly, what's your take on that?
Listen, they're in the middle of a process. They were in the middle of a process trying to sell. It wasn't going to be done in time for them to play in this upcoming season. They're still in that process. We're still working with them through that process, and hopeful that it'll work out in time for them to be back in the future.
The history of professional sports, is rife with teams folding or going down and moving, and then others popping up. And there's quite a bit of interest out there that I'm hearing about. Different cities like Tampa and Toronto coming back, and Monterey and San Francisco. Out of those cities, would you say one or two of them might come in the following year?
Yeah, there's 4 or 5 open conversations. All of those cities are in play right now. There's a ton of interest in MLR. I think people realize this is one of the best investments available in sports today. The price point, the potential growth trajectory, you have the opportunity to generate a ton of value at a relatively low entry point. So we have interest in all the cities you named. There's also a group in Indy, and there's a couple of others. So yeah, we're very optimistic that our expansion pipeline is full, and we're going to be able to grow to a pretty robust number over the next 4 to 5 years.
It's no secret that the owners aren't making money on the league yet. How can we get to that point where it is turning a profit?
At the team level, there's local operating costs, right? So you need to be able to offset your local operating costs with robust attendance and fan spend, right? So, the number that we have soft circled is if you can get to 7,000 a game, now you're in a sustainable long-term play, right? At the league level, we need to drive up our viewer hours. Our numbers in terms of our national exposure have consistently gone up every single year. Our number of national windows has consistently gone up every year. This media cycle, we're looking to really drive up our average viewership and tell the story of sort of a growing league.
Yours truly and some of his University of Buffalo rugby mates want to come into the league. We have the wherewithal. What would it cost us?
Like, the number's been put out there by others. We at the league don't put the expansion fee number out there publicly. What I can tell you is you need to be prepared to invest $25 to $30 million in your market. That would include your league fee, your local operating costs, getting a venue, potentially building out a venue to operate your team for the first 4 to 5 years.
And that would be $25 million per season, or is that the $25 million over 4 years?
Over 4 to 5 years.
Okay. All right. So let's look at the numbers on stuff like attendance last year. How'd that look?
Attendance was up year on year. It's been up year on year almost every year. Obviously, with the exception of our COVID year, our attendance was up about 20 to 25% across the board. So our attendance numbers are trending very well.
And how about ratings?
Ratings are up. Well, we don't measure in terms of ratings. We measure in terms of viewer hours. And our viewer hours were also up year on year, sort of measurable, and it was about between 15 and 20%.
All right, let's change gears a little bit. The Anthem. The owners have a significant stake in the Carolina-based team. What's the expectation, the league expectation, and your thoughts on what the Anthem needs to do this year, or what they're about to do?
We launched Anthem with about a 2-week runway. Yeah. It was a whirlwind. We did our best to get them access to the types of players and the types of profiles of players that they needed. The purpose of the Anthem in year one, we weren't expecting them to be competing for a playoff spot. They put a team on the field that was competitive and got more competitive as the season went on. They got significant playing time for young American players, which was always the goal. And that's really the goal. This is a key linchpin in the pathway from collegiate rugby, from sort of MLR academies, from high school rugby into the Eagles, right? So from that perspective, it was a success. It was also a success in terms of the partnership that we built out MLR with World Rugby, right? It's the first time that we've had a partnership along those lines, that World Rugby is partnered with a private league. It's hard to overstate how significant of a step that is for us, and for building out a symbiotic partnership towards how we build towards the 2031 World Cup. So that was incredibly important. I think this year they're picking up more competitive players. There will be more of the young Eagles on the team going into 2025. I think we expect to see them be more competitive.
Is there a concern that with the World Rugby elections coming up, that a change in leadership over there might mean that somebody over at World Rugby says, hey, we don't want to do this anymore, or we're getting grief from places like Canada, we're wondering why we're not investing in them as well? Is there a concern, or is there a contract that is set in place for a number of years?
So Anthem itself, there's a that there's a 3-year commitment that's been agreed on Anthem. That's been and it's really very much targeting the run up to the next World Cup in 2027 World Cup.
Right.
And how we extend beyond that will be a conversation that we have as we go. Like, really, we're hyper focused on the U.S. national team's performance in the 27 World Cup. Remember that MLR is investing in that team alongside World Rugby.
Any talks of maybe merging or doing something with Super Rugby Americas?
We've had conversations with Super Rugby Americas over the years. Whether it's a crossover game, a single championship match. I think there's still interest on our side. There's still interest on our side in pursuing something along those lines. I think having a hemispheric alliance obviously would be good for both sides. It's somewhat been backburnered over the last sort of 12 months. We were focused on our seson and on various other things, but we're always keen to pick up those conversations.
Cool. When's the season going to start?
So we're going to go back in. I'm probably going to get in trouble with our marketing folks, but we're going to go back into the earlier window a little bit. We did the experiment last year of breaking through the international window. We found that the benefits didn't outweigh the increase in costs and the logistical challenges. So we will be going back to an earlier start in February and finishing before the international window. The exact dates I'll hold off until we release the schedule, which we're hoping will be in the next few weeks.
But we won't be interrupted for an international test window.
We will not.
That's good. Okay, it was tried, it didn't work out, and at least you're walking away from it.
There's a lot of hard conversations that you have to have. I think, going back to the example you used earlier, we tried something with the schedule. We didn't think the benefit outweighed the cost, so we're going back. It's the same with the international player slots to a certain extent, right? We're looking at different solutions. We're looking at different ways to positively influence our ecosystem, but also put a great product on the field. And it's always a little bit of a balance. I don't think there's no animus in the discussions, right? It's really about different points of view, and we've had a number of open conversations and open debates at the board level, and we're continuing to have those as the years go on.
All right. Well, we're basically out of time, but I have one final question for you, sir. Who's going to win the Shield this year in 2025?
What I'm hoping for is a great final. It will be in a neutral site. I'm not going to tell you where yet.
Where's the site?
We found that the neutral site has worked really well for us. So what I want is record attendance, record viewership, and then no matter who wins, we all win.
All right. So the site for the final has been determined, but we're not going to find out about it just yet.
It will be in the continental United States.
Oh, that narrows it down for me. Thank you. Will it be in a Major League Rugby city?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Will it be in the same place it was last year? See what I'm doing? I'm trying, just.
I got you.
Trying to eliminate possible. It's like a game show, All right. On that note, I want to thank Mr. Nic Benson, the Commissioner of Major League Rugby. Thank you, sir. I want to thank John Fitzpatrick of Rugby Morning's Coffee Break, and I want to thank Ryan Fitzgerald of the NOLA Gold, and thank you for tuning in. Please check out our other programs, including the critically acclaimed The Rugby Odds. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube, tell your friends about us, and sign up for our weekly newsletter. It won't kill you, I promise. And please join our American Red Cross blood donor team.